Hey YouTube, this is Russ, Amusement Park Fan 62. You hear kind of like a crinkling in the background. That is an inflatable. I just changed the lights on, and so it's deflating. Now, you can see the box right there. Now, I didn't want to make this video, but here are my thoughts on Black Thursday's release of 18 superstars. If you're not aware, yesterday, Thursday, November the 4th, at roughly between like 6 and 9:30, 18 superstars got released from NXT to Raw to SmackDown. Um, these are superstars such as Keith Lee, Ember Moon, Nia Jax, um, and many others in there, including people like Karrion Kross, who's getting repackaged for the third time, Eva Marie, who is out due to injury. Um, and many more. And I'd like to give my thoughts about it. Now, some of the stars some of the stars were not being used at the time. They were not involved in any storyline or anything. They were not in Saudi Arabia just a couple of weeks ago and so forth. So they were basically just sitting around. Now, while I don't think releasing them was the right thing to do, there had been other ways to do it, but according to WWE, they said it was, and I quote, budget cuts, which is funny because they just had basically a record-breaking profit again for the third quarter, which was like $258 million. Now, if that was slightly down compared to the second quarter, I believe, but not by much. But the problem is you're releasing so many stars. Just in 2021 altogether, WWE's released 76 superstars. Um, just to name a few, um, they've released the Iconics back in July. Um, Aleister Black, Chelsea Green, uh, Ruby Riott, um, Danny Lorcan, um, and many more. And now, while I am glad people like Chelsea Green, um, the Iconics, which are now going by the Inspiration and Impact Wrestling, um, EC3, who got released either earlier this year or last year. Um, Ruby Riott, now going by Ruby Soho in AEW. Now, I am glad those people have found a job. Also, Mickey James as well, who is in Impact Wrestling and helps run NWA. At least she was help running a all-female pay-per-view not long ago. So I am glad she is back. But it's just mind-boggling the amount of talent that they're wasting, all due to, quote, budget cuts, which I don't see how, because you can, during this time, keep people like Eva Marie, who just got fired yesterday, supposedly due to an injury. Well, to be honest, she was more she was more there for eye candy than her wrestling ability, because her wrestling ability is not great. But it's just mind boggling the amount of superstars that have been released this year, especially fan favorites, such as The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, back in July. Um, Adam Sure, I hope I said his last name right. Otherwise known as Braun Strowman. He got released at the same time, around the same time as Bray Wyatt. Though those two alone would always get some of the best responses um, when they would come out. And even The Fiend was one of the top merch sellers. So it just boggles my mind how you can take stars such as Braun Strowman or Bray Wyatt and just fire them on the spot. Now, supposedly Bray Wyatt was hard to work with. If that's actually true or not, I'm not entirely sure, because I never worked with him, so I'm not entirely sure how he is behind the scenes. But you can have them, but you can fire them, but you can keep Eva Marie for 3 more months and had her wrestle only a handful of times. And most of the peoples that she wrestled was Doudrop, which she brought in back around SummerSlam, before SummerSlam. So it boggles my mind how a person like Eva Marie, who is, while she is attractive, she can't wrestle to save her life, but you can fire somebody such as Braun Strowman or The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, because they were hard to work with. To me, it's just one of these things where I feel like they're focusing on one thing when they need to focus on another. Now, the other thing I don't agree with either is what they're looking for in a potential recruit. Like I heard not long ago on, I think it was What Culture. Um, for females in particular, they're looking for somebody 25 and under. The problem with that is unless you get somebody on the same level as somebody like Ronda Rousey or somebody like that. Now, while she could be older, they're going to look, more likely they'll look past the older factor and look into the marketing factor of her, especially if it's a big name like Ronda Rousey. But it's just mind boggling how, first of all, 25 and under, unless you get somebody who's been wrestling since they were 6, and they're 18 to 20, something not right there. Like, now, Cora Jade in NXT right now, she's 20 or 21, and somehow she's in there. How that works, I have no idea. But I applaud everybody on the NXT roster as of now who are doing what they're given. But at the same time, it's probably, no matter if you're on the Raw roster, the SmackDown roster, or the NXT roster, and pretty soon you could even count NXT UK, you're probably scared to have your phone in your hand because you don't know if you're getting that call or not. And it's just mind-boggling how they can do this sort of thing to people while companies like Impact Wrestling has just started basically getting back to people again after basically a year and 8 months, 9 months of nobody. So basically, Impact Wrestling was doing something like the Performance Center basically for longer. Ring of Honor, unfortunately, they're having their issues right now. I'm not getting into those issues as of now. AEW is doing what they can as well without trying to fire people. I know more AEW people kind of probably laugh at WWE for that, but that's not the point. It's just mind boggling how they can take somebody, train them, do their style of ring work, put them out there, see how the crowd, doesn't matter if it's the small NXT crowd or the Raw crowd or the SmackDown crowd or a pay-per-view crowd, and see how the crowd react to them. Because unfortunately, the thing is, the crowds for NXT, for some of the gimmicks they have on NXT, unfortunately, unless it's a well-known person on NXT, and if the people in on the Raw or SmackDown crowd watch NXT, some people aren't going to know who they are. Now, unfortunately, there are certain people too as well for NXT who are going to stay with NXT. People like Dakota Kai, um, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. So far, unless something has changed, they're NXTers for life. But I really hope that WWE takes a hard look at themselves. More likely not, but takes a hard look at themselves in the mirror. I'm not talking. I'm talking about the company and the McMahons and all them, and be like, what have we done over the past 18, 19 months? Because unfortunately, what they have done is they've wasted a lot of good talent and drops or fired some of the biggest names in the company, such as The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, and so many others. And it will come back to bite them at some point.